Hey guys, hi everybody. Welcome to today's Daily Dose of Awesome, your 15 minutes of inspiration, motivation, and education to get your day started right. My name is Vitaly Grimlett. I'm the Chief Copywriter here at Elite Marketing Pro. And today's topic is how to recruit and sell with email, which is my favorite thing to talk about because obviously I do emails every single day and I write copy, and so by far this is my favorite topic. Now, one of the reasons I love copy and I love specifically emails is because I've spent many years in the traditional direct sales and in network marketing, and I spent 11 years on the phone, prospecting and making phone calls and setting up appointments, and so I did it the old traditional way for many, many years, and I never really enjoyed doing the phone. I liked the business, but I never liked getting on the phone, and I think when you spend 11 years of your life doing something you don't really enjoy, kind of get tired of it. So I have a very special appreciation for email because it lets you do all the stuff, the connection, the bonding, the building of the audience, which we're going to talk about today, without having to get on the phone. Now, at the same time, there were a lot of things that were pretty effective doing network marketing, direct sales, the old traditional way. Hey guys, hi Teresa. So let me talk to you, before we get into emails, let me talk to you about what I found to be very effective with traditional network marketing that I think you can transfer to emails as well. And that is that when I used to, this was my experience, when I used to recruit people, the best people to recruit were those who had a warm market and who had credibility with their warm market. Why? Because they could take me to see their friends and family and people that they knew, and they had credibility with them. And so they would introduce me as the expert, and what would happen is I would immediately have that credibility with that person, and there was some trust already established and some rapport, which is one of the hardest things to establish in the sales process if you're a stranger to your prospect. And yet this is one of the most important things, because if you don't have that and if you don't have that trust, if you don't have that rapport, there's no way they're going to buy from you. So your goal, whether you're trying to sell them, recruit them, your goal is to create that and trust and rapport with your audience as quickly as possible. So if you look at internet marketing and using the internet to recruit and to build and to sell, people, cold prospect, they click on your ad and they come to your website, and there is no trust, there is no rapport immediately. Right? And if you're asking them, especially if you're asking them to join a business, which is a big commitment for some people, if you don't have that credibility right away, it's a big decision that they have to make, and if they don't know you, it's not going to be instantaneous. It's a process, which is why you got to have some way to create that and trust and establish that credibility. So you need a mechanism for that. And there are several mechanisms. Email is one of them. Social media, obviously, is another. Blog posts. If you have a blog and you create blog posts to establish yourself as the authority, as the expert, that's a way to do it. Doing videos, doing Facebook Lives like this. However, with all these ways to do it, I believe that email is the single most effective way to do it, or I should not the most effective, but the most important channel you can utilize and vehicle you can utilize, because you can you can bring all these things together using email. So, for example, if you're posting something, let's say you have a big fan page with 50,000 people, okay? Just because you post something, that doesn't mean they're all going to see it, right? So, how do you get them to see it? Well, if you have a list, you send an email and you send them to your Facebook page, right? You send them to your post. If you write a blog post, same thing, right? If you put up a video on YouTube, same thing, right? If you have an email list, you can, with a push of a button, connect with your audience. And that's the awesome power of emails. So you need that mechanism. And so I learned early on that you got to get people to like you and trust you. And when you write emails, that should be your number one priority. That should be your number one goal, is to get people to like you and trust you and to create that credibility. So email is not only for making sales. It's for making a connection first and foremost. People join your list, and you need to make that connection. You need to create, as I said, and trust. You need to establish that credibility. And you need to create that bond with people, right? You need to create that relationship with people. And slowly, over time, what's going to happen is they're going to start looking at you as a person of authority, a person of credibility, and you're going to develop influence with your list. And so that's your goal with your emails. Of course, you know, you want to sell and you want to recruit, but at the same time, if you only sell and if you only pitch something in your emails, which is what I know a lot of people do, you're going to lose that credibility pretty quickly, okay? And I'm going to tell you what I did early on when I built my list the first time. I kind of followed the model of people that maybe they knew what they were doing, but they weren't doing it as well as they should have been doing. And so I saw a lot of people pitch in their emails and send out just pure sales promotions in their emails. And I thought for a long time that that's the way to do it. But that's how that's what email marketing is all about. You send an email and you send your promotion, and that's it. And so I did that over and over and over again. And eventually, what happened is that I had a list of about 25,000 people, and very quickly, about 10 or 12,000 of them unsubscribed, like within a few months, because they didn't see any value in my emails. So your emails have several purposes: to connect, to create a relationship, and of course to sell and to promote what you're doing. So that's how I look at emails. Now, how do you do that? You know, how do you make that connection with people? How do you make yourself the person that they're going to look up to? Well, you have to really understand what your audience wants. You have to know what people on your list, what are the things that they want to hear, what are the things that inspire them, because one of the things that you can do in your emails, you can inspire people. You can tell stories in your emails, stories about yourself, stories about other people. I know a couple of days ago, and Andrew Drawn did a Facebook Live here, Daily Dose of Awesome, on stories. And so certainly you can use that in the emails. So and that's one of the best ways probably to connect with people, is the personal stories that you can tell about yourself. You can talk about a lot of different things, okay? But before you sit down and you actually write an email, the first thing that I do is I kind of picture in my mind who I'm talking to, right? The person. And I'm not thinking about you know, thousands of people are potentially going to read this email. I'm thinking about the one individual, the one person who's going to read this. I'm thinking about one individual in particular. Okay, I have that a picture of that person in my mind, and I'm having a conversation with that one person. And I'm asking myself this question, okay, what does this person want to hear? What does this person want to hear from me? How can I inspire this person? How can I connect better with that person? And that's the first thing that I think about. Because if you come from that frame of mind, if you come from a frame of mind that you're there to make a connection with them, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to write that email. Instead of just thinking, you know, I need to promote this product, or I need to promote my program, I need to promote my business opportunity. Forget about that for a second. Yes, that's the ultimate goal, but first and foremost, you need to be thinking about that person. You know, what are their pains? What are their struggles? What are their frustrations? What do they care about? And what do they need to hear from you? Okay? So that's one thing that I think about. The other thing that I think about is all the competition out there. And the reason I'm thinking about the competition is because, let's face it, you're not marketing in a vacuum, right? You're marketing in a big sea of other marketers. And again, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's emails, your audience, when they get an email from you, or when they see your post on Facebook, because it basically applies, you know, same philosophy applies here and there. They're looking at your emails, or they're looking at their news feed, and they see your post, and it's surrounded by other marketers, surrounded by other messages. And so if you say the same thing that everybody else says, eventually people are going to tune you out. Doesn't matter how valuable your information is. If you say the same things, and if you don't stand out in your prospects' inbox or in their news feed, then they're going to tune you out, and they're not going to want to listen to you. So I always think about, number one, how I can help them, how I can connect them, and at the same time, how can I make my message different? Okay, how can I stand out in their news feed, right, and in their inbox? So the first thing I do, so I have a process, okay? The first thing I do after I think about these things is I think about, what am I going to write about? What do I want to talk to my audience about today? What can I say that will inspire them? And there are many different things that you can tap into for great ideas. So my favorite source for ideas is my own life. And that's what makes all of us unique, is that you have a unique experiences that you bring to the table, and I have unique experiences. And so you can, when you talk about your own life, in your stories, they're going to be different from everybody else. Even if you promote the same product or the same business opportunity as a lot of other people, when you talk about yourself and your stories, you're going to be different. And a lot of people are going to resonate with that. So that's my first source of inspiration, is my own life and my own stories. And I can give you a ton of examples, which we don't have time in this short broadcast. But for example, you can talk about your kids, if you have kids. You can talk about their school. You can talk about your pets. You can talk about your neighbors. You can talk about your friends. You can talk about a birthday party that you went to and you had a conversation with somebody that maybe was about education, or maybe it was about business, or maybe it was about whatever. You could talk about sports events. You could talk about a concert that you went to. When you talk about some slice of your own life, some piece of your life, it makes it interesting for people to listen to, and at the same time, you're making a connection because you're being a little bit vulnerable and you're telling your story, and people love that. Okay, that's how you connect with people. Because remember what I said in the beginning. Your goal is to get people to like you and trust you. And how do you do that? How do you get people to like you and trust you? You be yourself. You be genuine. And so when you, in your emails, in your communication, when you're being yourself and you're telling your stories, people resonate with that. So that's my first source of inspiration for stories and for ideas for my emails. But also you can go to other sources. If you think you have a boring life and you don't have stories to tell, and I promise you that you do, you can look at books, right? You can see I have some books here on the shelves behind me or around me. You can go open up any book and read something from a book and then go and retell that story, right? Not the whole book, but just pick something out. Take an inspirational or a motivational book, or maybe a leadership book or a sales book or something, and take a lesson out of there and talk about it in your email as it relates to your product, service, or your business opportunity, okay? And so that's valuable. It's entertaining. And at the same time, you're making a connection with your audience, okay? So you can use books. You can use stories from magazines. You can use what's going on in the news, right? You can see what's going on in the news, whether it's something about politics. And you don't have to get political. You can just use clips and snippets of news and tell little stories as it relates to your product. Maybe there was some story about education. Maybe there was some story about leadership or lack of leadership, and you can use that. Once you train your mind to look at these things, you're going to start making connections between stories and what's going on out there and what you're promoting. And again, that's going to make you different, and it's going to make you connect with your audience better. So personal stories, books, news, movies. I love using movies. Anytime you see a movie, what are movies? Movies are stories, right? They're stories on screen. So you could always take something from a movie and apply it in your emails and take some lesson out of it and use it in your emails to promote your business or your or your product or your service or whatever you're promoting. Okay, so use movies. You can use quotes. There are a lot of quotes. So you can talk about quotes, leadership quotes, motivational quotes, time management quotes. Again, it goes back to understanding your audience and who you're talking to. So if you're talking to network marketers, then you should have a list of things that are important to that audience. Things that they're motivated by, things that they struggle with, things that are important to them, things that they value, things that they like, things that they don't like. And out of that list, you should have a long list of these topics. Out of that list, there's always something to talk about. And you can always tie that to a book, a movie, a news event, or something that's going on, right? Sometimes all it takes is scrolling through your news feed on Facebook and seeing what people are saying there, and then just picking something out, picking out a post or picking out some funny image and writing a little story about it in your email, and you make a connection, okay? And that's how you become different with, in the way that you communicate with your audience. Holidays. So anytime there's something going on, a holiday, there's always a holiday. There are major holidays, but there are also small holidays. There are websites you can go to and see today is, and it'll tell you that today is maybe a tequila day or a taco day or whatever, okay? the day of chocolate pies. There's always some kind of either a big holiday or a weird holiday around the world that's celebrated somewhere, and you can use that as an opening for your email. And so those are the things that I think about, as it comes to writing, right? How do I make my communication and my email interesting? Then the next thing is, which is very important. Once I know what I want to say, I need to say it in a way that's going to stand out, because remember, people, you're not the only one that's sending emails to your prospects, and you're not the only one that's communicating to them. So having a good, compelling, curiosity-provoking subject line that's going to get your email to jump out of their inbox and say, click me and open me. And, it's very, very important that you spend some time and think about that subject line. Just like you're thinking about a title for your video, or a title for your blog post, or a title for your ad on Facebook, your headline for your sales letter. Same thing with subject lines for emails, right? It's a headline for your email, and it has to grab their attention, and it has to provoke curiosity, and it has to stop them and say, open me right now. Why? Because here's how most people scroll through their news feed or through their inbox, okay? On their phone, because most people are on their phone right now, and they're just scrolling, right? They're scrolling, and they're looking for something to grab their attention. And even if it comes from somebody that they like and trust, people are busy. So unless it's something of either it's urgent or very curiosity-provoking, something that's so compelling that they have to read it now, they're just going to say, okay, this is interesting, I'm going to come back to this later. And guess what? That later never comes. It never happens, because that's human nature, right? If you're getting 100 emails like I do every single day from different people, you forget about them. So you need to figure out a way to state your subject line in a way that's going to grab their attention. So I'm going to give you a couple. So the way you do it is you make it curiosity provoking. You say it in a way that's gonna compel them, and it's going to provoke their curiosity. And I'm just going to read off a few for you. That these are just some recent ones. They're not as you listen to them, it's not great writing. It's just curiosity provoking is what it is. So like here's one. My grandma's beef with Facebook. Right? You have to know, like, what is this all about? Right? How to crush any market. That's more of a benefit-driven subject line, but but the word crush is provocative and somewhat compelling. Okay, and it is what our audience wants. Okay, you need to be here. That's the subject line. You need to be here. And so when you read that, your mind is going, I need to be aware, right? And so guess what? That pulls you into read the email. So again, it's nothing revolutionary here. It's just using a simple phrase that's going to open a question in their mind. It's going to make them go, I need to see what's going on here. What is this all about? Recruit and sell without being obnoxious. That's another one. Again, we're talking about recruiting and selling to a market that's interested in recruiting and selling. But the use of the word obnoxious is a little bit different, because it's not a word it's a word that obviously they know, but it's not a word that they see. It's kind of provocative, right? So it makes people curious as to what's going on here. You need to watch out for this guy. That's another subject line. Again, what guy? This may be a little hard to believe. What's hard to believe? Okay. How to get all the eyeballs on your message. So as you can see, I'm doing a lot of different things here. We're using benefits. We're making some of them are just purely curiosity provoking. She smokes the competition. Now, I played around with this subject line for a little bit until I got it to a point where I said, okay, that sounds good, because you could say, here's how to beat your competition, or she beats her competition, but I use the word smoke, and that makes it a lot more interesting, right? As you listen to her, as you read it, she smokes the competition. These numbers just plain suck. And the last one I wrote on this morning, do this and get more leads, right? It's a subject line that when you read it, you want to know, because if you're thinking about getting prospects and getting leads for your business and for your opportunity, you want to know, do what and get leads, right? So spend some time when you're crafting, whether it's your headlines or whether it's your titles for your blog posts, your Facebook, and of course, subject lines for your emails. Spend some time and think about how can you make it how can you say it in a way that's going to sound both interesting and compelling at the same time, and curiosity provoking. And that's how you stand out in your prospects' news feeds and inside of their inbox. So once I know what I'm writing about, okay, and then I have a great subject line, now it's just a matter of putting the email together, okay? And really it's just a matter of connecting your story, whatever your inspiration for the story is, to your product. And as I mentioned before, once you do this on a regular basis, you're going to get really good at making those connections. You're going to start seeing connections between something you see on TV, a lesson that you see in a movie, or a story you see on Facebook or on Yahoo or whatever, and your product or your business opportunity, okay? And when you make those connections is when your email is going to start coming together. And of course, lastly, the most important part is you got to have a call to action inside of your email and just tell them, go sign up here, go do this, and so on and so forth. And so what's going to happen is, over time when you do this, and I've been doing this for a long time, so it doesn't happen overnight. It's not something that you write your first email and everything's just going to come together and click together for you. It takes time and practice just like anything else. But what's going to happen over time is that people are going to start responding to your emails. You're going to start slowly building that credibility. With some people it's going to be faster. With others it's going to take a little bit more time. You'll be surprised. Sometimes you're going to have people on your list for 2 years, and then all of a sudden they're going to buy or they're going to join your business, and they're going to tell you that, you know what, I've been reading your emails for the last 2 years, and I'm ready to do this now. But if you weren't inside of their inbox for those couple of years, you wouldn't have that connection. So you can't control the timing in their life, but you can be there when the time is right for them. I hope this makes sense. And that's the whole premise behind writing emails on a regular basis and connecting with your audience. Okay? I see a lot of thank you guys. I'm glad you guys are getting value from this. So again, your goal is to get them to like you and trust you, make that connection, build up your credibility over time, and of course make the sale, and get people to respond to you and so forth. So that's in a nutshell how you write emails. So I think we're pretty much out of time. Now I do want to say that if you're a member of Elite Marketing Pro, we do have training that's called the Ultimate Email Profit Machine, where I get into a lot more details and a lot more in depth on the actual mechanics of putting together subject lines and writing emails, and so you can check that out. Also, as you probably know, we have the No Excuses Summit 8 coming up in Las Vegas in just a couple of months, and I promise you there's going to be a lot of training in there also on email marketing. And in fact, we have a special workshop that's pre-main event workshop where we walk you through the entire process of setting up your lead generation funnel and your prospecting funnel. And part of that is setting up your emails and creating that autoresponder sequence so that you can make those connections with your audience. So you can check that out at elitemarketingpro.com/NES. And with that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate being here, and I hope you got some value out of it. And we'll see you next time on the next Daily Dose of Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care, everybody.